My name is Chris Bentley. And along with my co-host, Hersh Perlis, we founded the Legal Innovation Zone almost 6 years ago now. We founded it to do one central thing, support better legal solutions for the consumers of legal services, whether they're businesses, whether they're people, whatever their circumstance. There are faster, simpler, more affordable ways to deliver the legal services that people need. And we do it in one of three ways. We support startups when pre-COVID times, so we supported them in our space in downtown Toronto. And now we support them virtually. We have programs that have an international reach to help people take their idea, put it into a viable concept, and then actually develop a product. And then in theory, come to our space when we open up again. We also support organizations, whether they are public or private organizations, governments, to advance their innovation agenda. We've worked across North America and been involved in work in Ukraine as well. And we try to change the legal system so that it actually reflects 21st century principles and deliver the legal services that people need in the way that they need them. And that is a great way of starting today. We have three fantastic startups that Hersh is going to introduce you to specifically. There will be opportunities to ask questions, and then we'll go into a breakout room and you'll decide which one you decide to go to. So thank you again for joining us. This recording will be accessible through our site at the conclusion of today's proceedings. And Hersh, why don't you take it away?
Thanks, Chris, and thanks everyone again for joining us. I will just briefly review how we run the demo lunches if you weren't fortunate enough to join us last month for our inaugural one. So we have three fantastic companies here. I will do a very brief introduction of the companies. Each company will take about 7 minutes to do a quick demo and explanation of what they do. Depending on how much time they take up, there may be time for questions. So if you do have a question, you could shoot me a direct chat and I will ask the questions just to keep it really short. If we don't have time for questions, don't worry about that, because after the three teams do the presentations, we will go to breakout rooms and you can choose which breakout room to spend time with, which company to spend time with. In order to do that, as we're going through the companies, if you know which team you want to spend time with, please rename yourself. So if you push the three dots in your square box of your face, go to rename, and depending on which company you want to be with, put a 1, 2, or 3. So it's all alphabetical. So if you want to spend time with Arteria, put a 1 in front of your name. If you want to spend time with Avvoka, put a 2 in front of your name. And if you want to spend time with CiteRight, put a 3 in front of your name. I'll repeat this a few times throughout so everyone understands that. But as you're going through hearing all the companies, if you're interested in spending more time after the brief introductions, you can put the numbers and we will do breakout rooms after this. And that is it. So no one came here to listen to me, so I will introduce our first company. Our first company is Arteria. Arteria is an AI-powered digital contracting startup that uses a data-first approach to contracts and works with some of the largest banks around the world. Co-founded by Shelby Austin, Abrar Huck, and Jonathan Wong, they just recently announced an 11 million Series A round. Today we have Anthony Lissy here with us, who is going to walk us through the product. So Anthony, the floor is all yours.
Fantastic, thank you. I'm just trying to navigate the screen share. Perhaps you could just let me know when the deck pops up.
You are all good.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for having us. Really excited to speak to you today about Arteria. Perhaps we can start with something we all agree on. Contracting is both expensive and exhausting. We look at the different components of the process from drafting to execution or drafting to management. We see various process steps that are manually driven, long cycle times that can sometimes impact revenue opportunities, and a risk area from a lack of consistency or errors or missed deadlines. As we look at the way the market or the industry has started to address some of these pain points, e-signing was a fantastic innovation that started to get away from having mountains of paper dominate contracting. Basic generation and workflows were next. And now we're in this phase 4 where we're kind of nascent in the kind of search and analytics phase. There's a lot of great innovations happening, but this is kind of where the market is at in our view. But if we boil down the contracting problem, there are 2 key components. The first is speed to contract, and that's ostensibly getting from intake and drafting to execution as quickly as possible. And then there's understanding the contract terms and really operationalizing the data that lives within the document. And this is where we see kind of a gap in the market on the data side. So Arteria's solution is data-driven. It's a data-first approach. If you look at a Word document or a Word contract, that is a great example of lots of unstructured data. And by solving for that at the onset, it allows us to integrate better, both upstream and downstream. We have fast approval cycles and sophisticated search for a frictionless user experience. And we get some very robust reporting and insights. This is both on the kind of process of contracting and how that is going within the business. There's also insights on what's actually in the documents, and we'll get into that a bit later. One of the key points to highlight here is one of the key points of really operationalizing the data in the contract is feeding it to those mission critical systems that need the information. And again, by structuring data at the onset, this is where we really excel in our platform. So if we walk through our product at a glance, the draft phase is where our wheel would begin in the top left corner. This is streamlining the intake process and generating a draft quickly and efficiently, or a first draft. The negotiation module has a variety of playbook rules and enhancements that speed the process of negotiating. There are automated nudges, and our playbooks provide the right guidance on what to do when a specific clause or text segment is changed. Arteria Flow adds transparency and status tracking to the contracting process throughout. It also streamlines the approval process, so the right approvers are seeing the right clauses at the right time. Arteria Analyze is where our insights and reporting lives. It again provides insights both on the way the actual contracting process is going within your organization. It also provides insights again within the documents. Our extract module is what we use for documents that were not originated on the Arteria platform. This is where we'd use our NLP and OCR to natural language processing to extract the key terms within documents and really operationalize third-party paper and perhaps legacy documents that come into the Arteria environment. And then finally, our Arteria Configure is what enables our clients to create, edit, and manage their templates, their playbooks, their workflows on the Arteria platform in a low-code environment. And this is great because there's no technical experience required to kind of go in and configure on our DIY suite. So if we take a closer look, this is a view of our intake form. Questions are dynamic, so questions will show or hide depending on the answers from previous ones. This streamlines the process of collecting information. There's integration points from upstream systems. So an organization can pass information from something upstream directly into the form by APIs. It can also be configured manually by someone from the business. This is a view of our negotiation module. As you can see in the red, there is a highlighted text segment where the counterparty would have deleted a clause or deleted a component of the clause. And on the left-hand side in that playbook pane, there's specific guidance for the negotiator to take action to really streamline and add efficiency to the negotiation process. This is a view of our repository, so where contracts would go after they are executed. They're organized by counterparty, so they're very quick and easy to navigate. And there are also a variety of features to search, filter, and export if need be. So you can quickly see kind of what's in the document and search for the ones you're looking for. This is Arteria Analyze, so our view on reporting and analytics. You can see on the left, there's some stats around how many documents have passed through the system, some of the distribution of edits. But on the right, you can see some of the escalation trends. So a particular clause, base and eligible currency in this case, has been negotiated 17 times out of the 32 contracts it's in. That provides some guidance to say, maybe that clause is a bit off market and could use some versioning up to make it a little bit more kind of modernized with market standards and further streamline the negotiation process. This is a view of our NLP module. we would create and train topical models to, again, extract the key points within documents or the key points of information. This is predominantly used for, again, third-party paper or legacy contracts, things or documents that haven't been originated in the Arteria platform. Documents that are originated in the Arteria platform kind of have all these data points at the onset based on the way things are configured. And then finally, we'll close off with our view or a look into DIY. So this is one of the few views in our do-it-yourself interface that's low code, no code. There's no technical expertise required. Clauses can be edited. Text segments to swap in and out based on logic can be added here. And then as well, playbook rules can be assigned to specific text segments to support that view we saw earlier in the negotiation view, where that specific guidance comes up depending on if a text segment is altered to really drive efficiency in the negotiation process. So that is all of I don't know how I did on time. I tried to keep it to our 7 minutes, but happy to entertain any questions if there are some at the moment. If not, perhaps we'll see you in some of the breakout rooms and we can have a further discussion.
That is great. Thanks, Anthony. I have not received questions during that, so I assume everyone is just anxiously waiting to get into the breakout room with you to find out more about Arteria. So thank you very, very much for that. And we will then move on to, we have Avvoka next. So Avvoka is a next generation document automation company out of the UK. We were just talking with Giles about how they have started to open up, so that is very exciting. They work with some of the largest law firms and in-house counsel to provide no-code automation and other tools to help you negotiate and analyze your documents. Today, we have the head of growth, Giles Thompson, here with us today. Giles, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now. If somebody could just confirm that they can actually see it, that would be awesome, and then I'll jump in. All right, Chris is nodding profusely, so I'm going to get on with it. Right, so what we do, Avvoka, we're an end-to-end document drafting platform. So that means we can help you with automation, internal collaboration with your colleagues, or indeed collaboration with your clients if you're a law firm, external negotiation of your documents, e-signature. So we integrate with Adobe Sign, DocuSign, we have our own tool, and also analytics. So tracking all the key commercial and legal data in your documents, but also how they're negotiated as well. So why do legacy automation tools fall short? Well, there's a number of reasons for that, but largely it's because they're unintuitive and they're hard to toggle your automation on an ongoing basis, or indeed in the initial stages. Due to this, they're underutilized. Less than 10% of documents are automated in a law firm context. They're also expensive. You have to hire external people to help you with your automation. They're time consuming. Well, we all know sort of how long that process can be, and that's why a lot of people haven't undertaken that kind of process of automating their documents. And actually, because they're hard to update, a lot of those templates that are automated are, well, because they're sort of hard to automate, they become out of date very fast, and we can't do quick tricks. How do we fix that? Well, we've got no-code self-automation that's super easy and intuitive, but does not compromise on power. And a lot of our competitors do compromise on that power element. As I say, it's sort of an end-to-end process, so we cover your whole contract life cycle. And we've also got fabulous data insights to sort of feed back into the drafting of your documents on an ongoing basis. Right, I'm going to attempt to do something stupid here, which is to try and show you the actual platform in the time that's available. So please bear with me, and if I miss something really obvious, well, I'm sorry. So I'm now in the platform, and what we're looking at here is the create area. So this is where your end user goes in, or your junior lawyer in a private practice setting, to invoke the start of a draft of a contract. So what you can do is you can actually start drafting multiple contracts at once. So for example, an NDA related to an employment agreement and an employment contract at the same time. We can actually mass generate these. So we can download an Excel sheet and we can actually provide the information we need to customize our documents for hundreds of documents or thousands of them. We can do that all at once and draft them all in a mass repapering exercise by re-uploading an Excel sheet. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to jump in and show you the most common use case, which is drafting one agreement at one time. So what's loading up now is our employment contract questionnaire. And I'm going to show you how we created one of these earlier in really short order. So I might have to turn my camera off in a minute because I think I might be getting a little bit of lag from that, but I'll press on. So what this is on the left here is our questionnaire, which is extracting the key information from our user in order to fill out our contract on the right-hand side here. So if I mash my keyboard, you can see our gobbledygook is dropping in the right part of the parties section and also on the front page. This is what I call our placeholder automation. So it's the most simple form of drafting that just gets painted onto our contract in order to bespoke it. We can also do things like have date selections and yes/no questions just to make sure that whatever answers we're getting from our user are going to be sensible. I'm going to show you the other type of automation we can build, which is conditional automation. So bits of text in our contract, which either gets included or excluded, depending on whether certain criteria have been met within our questionnaire. So if I say yes to a probation period, hey presto, we've got a probation period in our document on the right-hand side here. And that has been wrapped in a conditional wrapper, which says, include this clause where the probation question is answered equals yes. So I'm going to move through, and I'm not going to complete this questionnaire, but we're going to go through the next stage. So traditional document automation tools stop at this point. You take your document out as a Word file or as a PDF, and then you negotiate in the usual way. We think that's okay, but we think it can be a little bit better. So instead of downloading your document as a Word doc, we suggest you actually mark up the document within the platform. And what you can do is you can tag your colleagues and get help from them within the platform. So if I tag my colleague here, I can say, please can we delete this? And then perhaps our colleague will come into the platform and delete it on our behalf. We can have different user permissions in terms of edit rights for different users within the system. Everything we're doing is being logged in an activity log here, so we can see what's happening. It's all reviewable. Now, here's a real differentiator that we have. You can actually go back to your questionnaire at any point and change your answers. Historic tools and a lot of our competitors will make you start all over again, but that's no good because you lose all your data. And actually, frankly, you might have a lot of bespoke drafting in there. So I'm not going to do it now in the interest of time, but I could go back, re-answer my questionnaire and remove my probation period, but retain all of my other drafting. And that's fantastic because we get a full picture in terms of our data of what's happening to the documents. Let's say I'm ready and we're happy with this first turn of the document. I send the document to my counterparty. I get prompted to add them via their email address. I get locked out of the document, and then the counterparty gets an opportunity to mark up the document on our platform themselves. And then once they've done that, we receive the document back in track changes, which shows all of the changes that they've made to the document since we had it. And then we can sign it via a DocuSign, Adobe Sign, or our own free proprietary tool within the platform. I'm going to show you how we got to this point though. I'm going to skip showing you how we add another user, but just take it as read that we can add users with different rights, and we can reserve the right to accept and reject changes to one person. And we can also do things like, have certain people not be able to edit the contract. So if you have great negotiation leverage against your counterparty, make it count and don't let them edit the document. Why not? So we're in the templates area now. This is the employment contract. And by the way, you would upload your own contracts here and then apply automation. This is super intuitive and easy. The yellow here represents what's called our placeholder automation that I covered earlier. So the stuff where you paint your bespoke information onto your contract. If I highlight the contract name here and then click Insert Placeholder, I've now created a new automated part of this document. And if I jump over to the questionnaire area, the platform here, when I'm building my new questionnaire related to this document, I can see that I've got this new question at the bottom. I can go in and I can customize this as much as I like. I can add hints as well. I can even embed videos, and I can choose what a sensible input looks for my, for my end user as well. Just before I sort of move on to the last couple of bits I want to cover, just before the end of this demo, and please bear with me, I've missed a lot of elements of the platform out. I want to show you the workflow area. So we can do really cool stuff. So for example, let's say the amount of our particular employment contract here is greater than or equal to, lucky person, $100,000 or Canadian dollars, let's go for today, in the spirit of the fact this is a Canadian lunch. That might indicate that we've got a particular risky transaction, and we might want to add an approver to the document. So we might want to block sending to the counterparty, block download, and block e-signature until this has been approved. So we're moving from a model of reviewing everything line by line to reviewing stuff only where there is a particular risk. We also might have a particular answer to a questionnaire, which means that we might want to create a related document. So we can invoke the creation of related document suites based on that questionnaire as well, which is really cool. And I'm just going to quickly show you another screen, which gives you a bit of a sneak preview into our analytics area. And this is a really cool feature. So what this is our employment contract, and it's showing us for every single draft of this employment contract created on the platform, what level of negotiation are we seeing on the individual clauses? So for this clause, we're only seeing around 4%. It's, a green clause, so it's all right, the drafting. Yellow here represents, medium levels of negotiation, 47. And we're seeing on 2.4b here, about 85%. And one of the things that's quite funny that we've seen is a number of our clients have actually done this exercise, and they thought that it would be the liability clause and the controversial clauses that would have all of the negotiation, but actually it was those clauses which lack clarity, and that has been really helpful for them in improving their contracts and getting rid of mistakes. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you everybody for listening, and enjoy your lunch.
Thanks, Giles. That was fantastic. Just before we move on to our last demo, I just want to remind everyone to rename themselves if they want to go into a breakout room. Just put a 1, 2, or 3 in front of your name. 1 is for Arteria, 2 is for Avvoka, and 3 is for CiteRight. And you can just push the 3 dots in front of on your picture and just click on rename. So that is it. And I will now introduce, last but not least, is we have a fantastic Liz company named CiteRight. CiteRight is co-founded by Aaron Wenner and Ariel Nexon. And it is a Toronto-based company building knowledge tools for litigators. Their tools allow you to draft faster, automate citations, and recover lost knowledge. We have today founder and CEO Aaron. Aaron, the floor is all yours.
Thank you all so much for having me. I'm going to just go ahead and start sharing. Give me a quick second here. Okay, can you all see and hear me?
Yep.
Excellent, good. So thank you so much again for the Liz for having me and to Arteria and Avvoka. It's just super interesting being here part of the Liz to see how innovation is happening internally in Toronto, externally throughout the world, where it comes to making solutions available to legal practitioners and in-house litigation teams. One of the things that we've seen, though, is that transactional law gets a lot of the spotlight where it comes to legal tech and innovation. And what we've done at CiteRight is recognize that there's tremendous opportunity for improvement when it comes to litigation and helping litigation and entire litigation teams get their jobs done easier, faster, and more effectively. And I come at this from personal experience. I'm trained as a lawyer. And my introduction to the problems that CiteRight solves came while I was sitting up late one night at 3 o'clock in the morning at the 48th floor of the TD Tower on Bay Street, thinking as I went through the final stages of preparing documents for court that there's probably got to be a better way to do this. And there's probably a more efficient use of my time than drawing black lines on the side of printouts of cases just so that the judge or the opposing counsel has a better idea of what it is that we're citing in our submissions to the court. And so what we've created with CiteRight is a platform based around every single stage in the litigation drafting process and based around all the key roles and figures who play a role in that process. And if you think about it, in order for to get a document from inception, from the time it crosses the partner's desk all the way to court, there's a number of pretty key stages that you have to go through. At the beginning, you'll have to ideally search the document management system or your firm's precedent bank for something that's similar for the questions you're trying to answer. When it comes to actually doing legal research, what somebody lower on the litigation totem pole will do is gather all their sources from online platforms, save all those probably to their desktop or maybe to an Outlook folder. And then as they're drafting, they'll incrementally zip those cases up into folders and email them around the office so that the partners or the associates can review what the case law actually says when it comes time to drafting. And at the final stage, what you'll have to do is prepare the document for court. So once you've got your drafting and thinking work done, you still have a pretty large mountain ahead of you in terms of preparing the citations and preparing all the additional submissions. And so what we wanted to do with CiteRight was to recognize that within that entire litigation drafting process, there's just a lot of friction, dead time, and tasks that don't add value to the end, to the client or to the end product, but are nonetheless required. And so if we can factor out every single one of those non-time value-added activities, we can help the entire team high grade their time and spend the majority of the time that they have allocated to a particular matter on stuff that will actually deliver and benefit the client. And so what we've created with CiteRight is a platform that helps all the entire litigation teams find case law and legal research, organize it, cite it, use it, and ultimately reuse that work product so that the next time that similar matter comes across their desk, most of the work is done for them already. And we've done that by creating a single set of tools, a single tool that targets the entire litigation drafting workflow. Our platform lets practitioners and members of litigation teams save case law from online platforms, share that case law internally with their colleagues so that everybody has access to the same material at the same time. It allows you to cite and review the material that you've gathered inside Microsoft Word, and then generate that final work product for court in a matter of seconds. And the reason why it works, and I'll actually show you how it works in a second, but the reason why it works is that we've realized that by helping specific people within that workflow, the associate, the partner, the paraprofessional, the articling student, if we help each of those people with a task that is specifically relevant to them, we can help them work faster, but we can also generate data that makes each person who's downstream of that initial person work faster and more efficiently as well. So what I'm going to do right now is I'll show you just step by step how that process works. The process begins when someone is doing online legal research. And step one is giving the initial researcher a place to put their stuff so that other people can find that stuff. And so as you go to online case law, you can click our browser plugin and it'll download the full text of that case into a shared online library. And you can view that online library and create that and manage that online library through our online tools. And so here you can see someone's gone through and created a series of collections that are topic specific. They don't have to be topic specific. Sometimes people will create collections specifically around a client matter that they're working on. The key point here is that you can share these collections across your firm so that everybody can say, all right, well, here's the Smith-Jones matter and here's the case law that's in there so we can all see it. But also if you wanted to monitor an ongoing topic, if let's say you're building up a practice in estates litigation and you want to keep an eye on what courts are saying for egregious conduct, you'll probably get current awareness emails. Maybe you'll have some notifications set up. As you find case law that you think is relevant to you, you can add it into those folders so that you can have them again for later. And then once you've got that material, you can then view and cite it and review it directly inside Microsoft Word. So this is the main interface that you're seeing in front of you that people will interact with. CiteRight is a plugin to Microsoft Word. It shows up as a tab within the ribbon. And what the value that we see here is that every single one of the citations that you see over here has been added with CiteRight. Rather than having to remember what the rules are for citations, you put the comma here or the curve bracket here, you can view the full text, and as you're drafting, literally drag and drop text from the case into your document. And that sidesteps the need to have to flip back and forth between the browser and between your drafting. It also allows you to just keep all the stuff that you're working on directly in front of you. Now, every single one of these citations that we add acts almost like a hyperlink back to its original source. So if I were to circulate this Microsoft Word document to somebody else in the firm, they could click on where it says Dunsmuir, and it'll actually jump them right to paragraph 10 of Dunsmuir. And so what we're doing here is saying, okay, what would happen if all of your legal research was bound up with the drafting process so that all you needed to do was find that key document, the key Microsoft Word document that you worked on, and all the research was there and available for you to access later. It would mean that you'd be able to reuse that document more effectively by just copying and pasting the key text from one place to the other and have all the research carry over as well. Now, the final stage is because we've helped people save their cases into a folder somewhere using CiteRight, that means that the next person doesn't have to re-download that case. It's available to them just as they're doing that drafting. And because it's available to the person who's doing that drafting, because they've added that the case into their document, it means that the final stage, that job of assembling court-ready materials, is almost automatic. You can click a button and then generate what you're seeing here, a fully compliant book of authority in a matter of seconds. And so by helping people on the front end get their work done faster, automatically it becomes easier for everybody else down the chain to get their work done faster as well. And the ultimate piece here is that what we're aiming at doing here with CiteRight is helping everybody in the law firm reuse the excellent work that they've generated without having to redo it over and over again, which honestly is the holy grail of an efficient practitioner, is to make use of the work you've already done and not have to reinvent the wheel each time. And so each document that's been created with CiteRight, because it contains all its legal research, means that it is available for the next person to use that as a template for the next great memo. So if you have a memo that you've used, or a great motion to dismiss that contains all the boilerplate case law, and you know that you're going to have to generate some form of submission alongside it, with CiteRight, all you have to do is copy and paste that text right out into the new place, and all your research will carry over as well. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make sure that your team has a limited amount of time to get stuff done. And I know that that if you're thinking collectively about your firm, what you want to do is make sure that your team is using the time that they have for work that's legitimately valuable. And I'll tell you, the work that is not valuable, that doesn't deliver value to the client, is footnoting, citations, document formatting. With what we do, we can help law firms reduce the overall turnaround time it takes to get a document done from beginning to end by about 60%. The overall quality is always higher because the people are focusing on the content as opposed to the small details. And the people who are working on this stuff are working on stuff that actually matters to them and actually matters to getting the result that people want. And so we've had just a really fantastic run of success over the past couple of years. We launched in 2019. We grew massively over last year, especially during the time of coronavirus, as teams suddenly had to start working remotely and digitally. We were there to be able to help and serve them. We serve Canada's largest law firms from coast to coast, and we are becoming really an essential and inextricable part of these teams' litigation tools. So I'll close here and say that we care a lot about the fact that people use our tool, that it becomes a deep and integrated part of their workflow. And the fact that the question that people ask us most often during our presentation and as we're training them is, first of all, why does this thing not exist yet? And secondly, where were you 2 weeks ago when I had this work to get done and I was up late at 2 o'clock in the morning on the 48th floor of the TD Tower? So I'll end here, and if there are questions, great. If not, I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the breakout room.
Great, thanks so much, Aaron. That was fantastic, and that is basically the show. So I really want to thank our three presenters today for obviously coming out, Arteria, Avvoka, and CiteRight. That was fantastic. Thank you everyone for joining us today at our second demo lunch. I hope everyone enjoyed that. Just a reminder, we're going to do the breakout rooms right now. So if you are interested in spending some more time with any of the three speakers and their respective companies, just put a number in front of your name and I will throw you into those different breakout rooms momentarily. And if you want to jump into one room and then come back here, we can always throw you into a different room, but those breakout rooms will be open for about 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how many questions everyone gets. So thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have a fantastic and healthy day.